Hey everybody, welcome back to my Bake Like a Pro YouTube channel. In today's really fun video, we are going to be making some Millionaires shortbread squares. For our recipe today, we're going to need 1.5 cups of flour, 225 grams, 3/4 of a cup of salted butter, 170 grams. And our last ingredient for the crust, 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, 72 grams. Powdered sugar is also called confectioner's sugar or icing sugar. 3 different names, but it's all the same sugar. So let's get started with our base. So into a bowl, I'm going to add in all of my flour, my icing sugar. Remember, icing sugar, the same as powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar. And then all of my butter. And my butter is salted. If you're using unsalted butter, then you will add a little bit of salt to your recipe. What I have here is a very inexpensive tool. This is called a pastry blender, and it just cuts everything up. It's going to cut that fat or the flour or the butter in this case into our sugar and flour mixture. So I'm just going to do this. Now you can do this if you have a KitchenAid stand mixer. You can do this as well. It just takes a couple of seconds. If you have a little hand mixer, electric mixer, you can do it as well like that. But for today, I just thought I would go super simple and just show you that you can do it by hand. See how nice this little tool is? You can just bring it up. You just grab all of the stuff and bring it in. So it's like a little mixer and a little cutter in one tool. So you want to just keep breaking everything down. Now my butter is not super cold, but it wasn't super soft. Your butter should be soft. Mine could have been a little bit softer. But once I get in there with my hands, it'll start melting a little bit and everything will come together. You just want to break it down as much as you can with this little tool first. That's good. Just clean it off. You don't want to waste anything. You paid for your ingredients, use them. There we go. Make sure your hands are washed. And you want to just get in here. And now just start doing this. You grab it and you squeeze it like this. So you see how I'm bringing it all together. Just squeeze. And it's all going to start coming together. See how I'm doing that? Just get in, squeeze like this. You can see how it's starting already to come together. Just keep mixing it all together. When you're making buttermilk biscuits, this is exactly the same way that you would do it. So you can see without any electric tool how nicely this is coming together. Look at this. Amazing. Now for shortbread, I have so many recipes on my YouTube channel, Bake Like a Pro. I've got a lot of them. So you just want it to start coming together. When it starts coming together like that, that's good. And you can see that by using a large bowl, it just helps things out a lot. You see? That's perfect, just like that. On to the next step. What I have here is an 8" by 8" square baking dish, and I have lined it with parchment paper, one this way and one this way. That's just going to allow us to bring out the shortbread a little bit easier when we're finished the recipe. These little clips here that you see are 100% metal, and they are oven safe. Now I'm just going to take my dough. And this dough right away, you can just take this. If you didn't want to do this recipe, you could roll this into a log, chill it, and then just cut it and make little cookies out of it. Now to just make this easier, I'm just going to Spread this out a little bit. So just break it up just to help yourself, because we're going to be pushing this down. So if you do it this way, just make it a little bit easier. Just get everything out of your bowl. That's good. Okay, and then just start pushing. You see how making the little, breaking off those little balls kind of helps out a lot. And now what you want to do is just get this as even as possible in the bottom. Now I'm using a glass bowl today. I just chose that at random. You can use a metal one, which I usually use, but today I'm just using the glass. So just make it nice and even. And if you want to be really, really good, just get the bottom of a little container like this, a little measuring cup, and just go around and get a little bit of a push. That will give you a little bit more accuracy. And if it starts sticking, you can just put a little bit of powdered sugar on the bottom. So just push, push, push. And that's good. And by the way, my oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to pop this into my oven. I'm going to bake it until it's golden brown, and then I'm going to bring it out and I'm going to let it chill, and then we're going to get on with the second step of our recipe. So here we are, exactly 25 minutes in my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven, and you can see that's a really, really nice golden brown. So at this point, this is extremely hot. We're just going to let that sit there until it's completely cool, and this is going to take a number of hours. So I'm going to let it cool, and then we'll come back on to the next step. For the next part of our recipe, I'm using an Eagle brand recipe here. This is a caramel, and I want to put this into a saucepan, and I want to boil it for 5 minutes on a medium heat. This is just going to thicken the caramel. So I'm going to open this up, get it in here, and then I'll come back. Oh, look at that. Oh, that looks good. As soon as I open that, ooh, what a really nice aroma. So we need to thicken this, and that's why we need to boil this. We'll get all of this in here. I've switched over to a spatula because I wanted to get everything out. Still going to use the spoon to stir it. You have to stir it constantly for that 5 minutes because we do not want it to burn. So that's good. So I'm going to turn my heat on. So this is a little portable stove. I'm going to get this going. As soon as it starts to bubble, I'll come back. So at this point, I can see that the caramel is just starting to get a few bubbles. And you want to constantly turn this. So make sure you do not stop. If you find that it's getting a little bit too hot, just lift it off your little element like this. Just lift it off and just continue to stir. Just keep stirring that. So I'm just going to put a timer on for 5 minutes. So I'm going to do that right now. Get my timer going. There we go. And then I'm just going to keep stirring this. And on your oven, you might find that medium is too high. So do a medium low. Start it off at low to bring that temperature up slowly, and then adjust it. As soon as you start seeing the bubbles, then you just keep stirring and stirring. And what I mean to say is, even before the bubbles have started, constantly stir, otherwise you will burn it. So the movement keeps it from burning. You just want to get in there. You see how I'm using the bottom of that spoon? I just want to get in there, just keep turning. So 5 minutes, I've got my timer on now. I'll come back after the 5 minutes. Just keep stirring. Get in there all the corners. So when the timer goes off, I'll come back. So my timer just went off. That's the 5 minutes. That looks good. So I'm going to remove it, turn my heat down, move this out of the way. And then we'll bring our shortbread back in. And then we're just going to pour all of this nice caramel right in there. Doesn't that look good? Oh, wow. I'm going to switch over to a spatula. I want to make sure that I get everything out of here. And then just try to get that into the corners. Now it's pretty hot, so you should be able to move it around a little bit. You can already see that it's trying to set. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm just kind of moving it around, just letting gravity do the work for me. Let's get all the corners. Everybody wants to get that caramel. Bring it down, just like that, and that's good. Perfect. So we're just going to let this set up, and then we're going to start on the last step, which is just melting some chocolate. And then we're going to pour that on the top. For the last part of our video, we need a cup of chocolate chips, and I am just going to be melting down a cup of these chips here. These are made by Hershey's. I'm going to get this on here. I'm going to tear that, reset it to 0, and then we'll just get a cup of these in here. I'm going to measure out 200 grams. $196, and there's 200 right there. So what I have here is just a little pot with some hot water, okay, with a glass bowl. This is a heat-proof glass bowl, dry in the inside. Get all of my chocolate, and we have created something here called a bain-marie, which is just simply a double boiler. So this is a really good way to melt chocolate. It will not burn your chocolate. Whenever you're melting chocolate, don't take your chocolate and dump it directly into your little, your pot like this. You want to get that onto a nice little thing like this. You always want to do it this way. That way you get a nice gentle heat that's coming up from the bottom, melting your chocolate. So I'm going to start letting that go, and I'll come back in a bit. This will take a few minutes. So here we are. This is about 5 minutes later, and my chocolate doesn't look like much has happened to it. It looks a little bit melted. Let me turn this around and just show you. Watch this as I take the spatula and run that through. And that just shows you that this is some nice chocolate right here. Look at this. Completely melted. When you have a good quality chocolate, it'll just melt like that. No problem. Super, super easy. So what you want to do is you get your water hot, and then you can turn it right off. There is enough residual heat that's in here that just builds up and slowly just goes right through all of the chocolate. Look at that. Amazing. So now we're going to take this and we're going to finish off the recipe. When I removed the bowl of chocolate off of the pot of hot water, I just took a towel and just wiped the bottom so that I don't get any water into our little dessert. Now this is quite hot still, so I'm going to hold it by the sides. By the way, if you want to see how to temper chocolate, I do have a pretty good video on my YouTube channel, BakeLikeAPro, that shows you how to temper chocolate chips. This is still very warm. Just get it on. And do use a spatula so you can get everything out of your bowl. Okay, that's good. I'm just going to use a little spatula. You can use the back of a spoon and then just get it all over. And then we're going to pop this into the fridge to chill it. Oh, this looks amazing. So that's it for the recipe. All we need to do now is chill it, and that's what I'm going to do. You want to chill it for at least 3 hours in your refrigerator. So off to the fridge, and I'll be back a little later on and we'll finish off the video. Hey everybody, I am back. This has been in the fridge for a good 4 hours now. So I'm going to remove this. It's been in way too long. Probably could have taken it out, at 2 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. But here we have it. So I'm just going to remove those clips. And I'm just going to grab it here, and you can just see with the parchment paper how easily this comes out. Watch this. See that? Just like magic. Remove that. We'll bring our cutting board in. Bring that on the top. Now what's a good idea is that you could cut it all up into little squares and then just take it again and put it back into your dish. And that's a really, easy way to go. That looks good. Hey everybody, when I started cutting this originally, when I brought it out of the dish, the chocolate on the top was much too cold and it started cracking on me. So I decided to clean this area up. I just waited a little while for it to soften up, and you can see how nice that edge is now, right there. So at this point, I am just going to try and get some nice pieces out so I can get some photographs. And then you can see what the true texture of these look like. I'm just going to cut that open like that. That looks good. I'll bring this over here. I want to use a clean knife because I do want to show this as nicely as possible. We'll get in here. That's good. There we go. So let me get these onto a plate and then I can show them to you. So to show you these really close up, I decided to take some really close up pictures, and here you can see them here. So I've taken a few at different angles just to show you what they look like super close up. So you can see the caramel is dripping down the sides. If you don't want that, if you want to have a nice clean cut, make sure that you keep the bars in the fridge until the time you want to cut them. So the reason why the caramel is dripping down on mine is because I brought them out to let the chocolate heat up enough so that I could actually cut through it. So if you don't care about the chocolate on the top cracking a little bit, you can go right through and you're going to get a very nice clean cut, and you'll see a really nice edge on that caramel as well. So to finish off our video, let's have a little taste. I'm just going to cut into one of these. You can see how nicely that cuts. And this one here has been sitting out of the fridge for a little bit of time. And you can see, so we've got that really nice shortbread on the bottom, and shortbread is a butter cookie. And then we have the caramel in the middle, and then our chocolate on the top. So let's go in for a little bite. Okay, that was really good. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish, and if you're on Facebook, please check me out at facebook.com/BakeLikeAPro. This recipe will also be on my Facebook page. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Going in for another bite. Oh, these are so good. Yum.